Now, we know we can export out images. We know we can give it size. We know we can do layers, layer groups. We can even add filters or, as you saw, adjustment layers to a specific layer and it'll automatically update. But now let's talk about some real world practices, because exporting out one or two images is great. But man, Photoshop Generator still has more features buried within it. Let's talk about responsive web design. Everyone's always talking about it. It's the new fad, right? Getting images to people faster based off of their device power, size, bandwidth. You really want to create a custom experience, or you really want to tailor the experience for the user. So how do we do that with Generator? Well, let's start off with our, you know what, we always do clouds. Let's look for something else. Let's do one of our branches. I'm going to choose, it doesn't even matter which branch it is, but alright, so we have branch 3. I'm actually going to bring this down so we can see both this updating as well as me making changes. So we have branch3.png. Branch 3, maybe we want to have multiple names, right? Let's say we want branch3.png, but we want this to be let's say half the size, right? Because you know what, we're on the web, right? At let's say at 1.5, right? We know that that's going to be our indication it's half the size. Or you know what, that might be a little too confusing. Let's say we call this small, right? You'll see this update. So now we have at small. But if we look at the sizes, you'll actually see branch 3 at small is 161, and branch 3, the regular, is still 161 in width. So nothing's actually changed. We're able to create multiple images. Well, if you remember in the last video, we were able to add wildcards in front of the actual layer name. This is a cool feature, right? We said it was going to be half the size. Let's add 50%, because it is responsive, right? You might have noticed it got a little smaller, but it may not make sense until you actually see them together. Let's hit preview. It literally exports it out at 50% of its actual current size. So it actually makes it responsive image exporting also. If we make any changes, it's responding. Let's say now we want to do another one, right? I'm just going to copy this because I don't feel like typing it all again. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to branch 3, but this time we're going to do dash large because that might be more native of the web. Percentages are normally 100, right? 100% is everything. 50% would be half of that. Well, we want to make sure this thing works for Retina. Maybe we want to go with 200%. This is large, right? Hit enter, and boom, we have another one. Now we have the large version. 321, 161, and 81. So now we actually have 3 versions of the same exact image, which is absolutely, once again, groundbreaking. Because now we don't have to worry about creating multiple images. Because normally the way we would create responsive images is you save it out as the highest setting. So whatever. In our case, we would make the layer, in this case 321, and then we would go into something like, which I'm a huge fan of. There's so many sprite generators out here. If you're a web developer and need to do it in in the coding environment, Grunt is a really great way to make things happen and happen extremely fast. I love Texture Packer, which is what before this it was just we would create one solid image and export out PNG, especially for games or anything like that. Throw into Texture Packer and let it crunch everything and export it out. This makes it even easier because now the images are coming in exactly the way you need them. So, with Texture Packer's case, it'll create a sprite sheets, and it depends on who you talk to, especially for the web, how you want to handle sprite sheets. Are they too big? Is it a big memory overhead? This way you have the same exact image 3 times. Never need to worry. Never need to to have to go into multiple programs to do it. You can do them all right here, and we can still have multiple settings also. So if we wanted to make this small, because it is small, maybe it's going onto a mobile device, we can bring down the quality of this. We can make it an 8-bit instead. Once again, Generator comes with so many great features, and this is still the icing on the cake. There's so many more layers. You have the ability to export out. Right now, everything's coming out in pixels. You can do inches if you wanted to. So you have different formats you can export out. You have the wildcards. Now you see the ability to create responsive images. This is definitely a feature. If you haven't used it yet, I hope these videos really compel you to start using Generator. It's as simple as literally going in, File, right under Save for Web, and Image Assets. If it's clicked already, it'll happen only if you have the extensions or the new tags, syntax, for your layer names. Absolutely, hands down, best feature. If you're creating responsive images, why not make it any easier? Literally, this can be done by designers. Lo and behold, there are so many times that we'll export out elements. Once again, I'm a designer and developer, classically trained in design, and a huge passion for development and stuck to it. So I understand both plights. You're creating something really cool in AngularJS. You have this. You're engineering this great product as a developer. You get very, very emotional about your code. You want to make sure everything is tight. But then the designer wants things this way. They want this way. They want things exported that way. As a designer, I hate when developers mess it up. I want to make sure things work exactly the way they're supposed to. And this way, we actually have a nice intermediate where you can change the name if you want to on a developer side, but the settings can stay there. So when this PSD file gets handed off, you don't need to hand off the assets. They can just open this up in Photoshop, make sure image assets is enabled for Generator, and poof, it's all there. Both sides are happy, and now you have really, really great quality images coming right out of Photoshop without slicing. Edithson Abelard, I'm out.